So, a common point of discussion on the men's self-improvement side, especially amongst young men, is like, should you stay single in your 20s and grind and make some success of yourself and then settle down into your mid to late 30s and so on? And there's this idea of the male advantage that's popularized by, right, Chris, at First Man, and men peak at 35 to 50 and you can have kids at any age. So, just work and grind and enjoy your youth and all this. And I want to make some points on this that a lot of these top creators are missing out on. Yeah, they're not really offering all the the nuances here, right? And there's it's going to be different for a different type of people, right? Just because it worked for them, they were grinding all their 20s and they made something of themselves, and then they're going to settle down later. Just because it worked for them, it doesn't mean it'll work for you. You gotta see the bigger picture here and make a decision. And I want to give you guys and make some points here and put some ideas in your head and just see, there's something you need to think about here with regards to that, and think a little bit differently with regards to this, and then you can try and make a decision if you're young enough. So I myself had the idea, like, I wasn't going to try and meet a girl and settle down until I was at least 30. I was going to enjoy my 20s. I wasn't thinking about success. I didn't really have that idea. I wasn't thinking about being an entrepreneur or making something of myself. I just wanted to enjoy my 20s, right? And then I met who is my now wife. We've been together 13 years. I met her when I was 23. So that went out the window. And why I went for that is you have to, if you do want someone in life eventually, and you want to settle down and you want a family and all that, and you want a good woman, you should keep a high standard for your woman, right? You should think about what you want in a woman, what values you want in her. Ultimately, the values, right? You don't want this whole checklist, right? What women do. Oh, I want her to be, less than 6 foot, and she has to have green eyes and big tits and yada, yada, yada. No, you should be attracted, of course, but then share your same values, right? And set high standards for that. And never settle. And if that girl comes along when you're 21 or 22, fucking go for it, man. Go for it. Don't let that slip, because girls like that, good girls that meet your high standards, they're so rare these days that you don't want to pass up on that opportunity. And a lot of you guys out there, you're going to really benefit, even if you're young, being with a good woman like that, because very, very often, what's very often the case is, if you meet a really good woman, and this was my case, she's going to inspire you to be better. She's not even going to tell you to be better. She's not going to, you just got to want to be better. And I don't mean this be a different person and so on. No, you're still keeping that frame of authenticity, but you just want to be a better version of yourself. Just naturally going to want to be like that. And that's going to take you up levels. That's what happened to me. Like I said, I wasn't trying to be successful. I had no ambitions for that. And then I met my wife, and I just wanted to be better. I wanted to learn. I wanted to grow. I wanted to improve myself. She inspired that in me, and it's taken me on to another levels, to the point where, oh yeah, I actually really do want to make something for myself in that way. So that's going to be a benefit for a lot of guys, right? And then you might say, but hey, it's easier. They're a distraction. Having a girlfriend's a distraction. It's easier to grind and so on. And I would say, listen, if you're in that mindset where you can just lock yourself away for years and grind, yeah, it's less of a distraction. But I'll tell you what's a big distraction is, a lot of these guys, you're going to want to enjoy your youth, and you're going to want to date, and you're going to want to sleep with women and whatnot. That's a massive distraction. Honestly, you being single is going to take up a lot of time. You're going to be dating girls, meeting up with girls, going on nights out. All of that is a mad distraction if you're single. And a lot of you guys are not, you be honest yourself, you're not going to be able to turn that temptation down. You're not going to be able to go complete monk mode, right? Your needs, you're young. So you got to think about that as well, and think, if you have one woman, you're actually going to be more focused, a lot of you guys out there, on your journey. And then you've got to consider the fact that this notion of there's no male biological clock and you can have kids till you're 50, 60 plus. Look at Al Pacino, look at De Niro and all this. and then you can still attract women. You can be in your mid to late 40s and you can still attract 21-year-olds. Guys, you're talking about 0.01% of the male population. I'm sorry, man. You ain't gonna be DiCaprio. You're not gonna be like these guys, right? If you look at the average age of the age difference, yeah, women like older guys, but the average age they like is 3 to 4 years older. Not 10, not 15. Sure, there's some girls out there with daddy problems and they'll be with some guy who's like 15, 20 years older plus, right? But they're super rare and they're not really the type of girls you really want to be with. And honestly, do you want to be 50 years of age and be with a 25-year-old, a girl half your age? Really? How much are you going to have in common? What are the chances you're going to meet a girl who's going to be on your level in terms of maturity and having things in common? Again, all this is kind of a little bit of a cope, right? Honestly, you got to take all this into consideration. So you got to think to yourself, let's say you wait until you're 35, but you want kids and you want multiple kids. Well, then you got to take into consideration most girls will only date like 3 to 4 years older. So that's hard to find 20. You want a girl who's around 25, 26, because you got to spend a couple of years at least getting to know them and marry and settle down and live with them for a bit. Know that she's the right one who's going to be a mother to your children. So that's a couple more years gone by. And maybe after a couple of years, it doesn't work out. And then you've got more time getting to try to date other women and find somebody else and get to know her. And that means you're older now. And then it's getting even more difficult to find a girl in that age range because you want multiple kids. And every year after the age of 30, the chances of a woman getting pregnant decreases by quite an amount. I can't remember the exact number. It was quite significant, right? So you got to take all that into consideration. And here's another thing. As you get older as a man, it starts around 35, but it starts dropping quite steeply at the age of 40, is that your sperm quality gets lower as you age. Yeah, you can keep firing some live rounds until you're 60, 70 and Al Pacino and all that, but it ain't going to be the same quality. And so that means your kids if you can get a girl pregnant at 50 because you've somehow met a girl in her 20s or early 30s, that kid's not going to be like genetically as good as it would have been if you had it younger. And then there's going to be a higher possibility of other issues and psychological issues and Down syndrome and whatnot. So you have to think about all these things, guys, and you have to take it all into consideration. Don't just listen to these guys on the internet who are like, yeah, man, just grind away in your 20s. In the early 30s, you peak at 35, and then you can start meeting chicks and looking to settle down because you're a hyper successful man and you'll always be able to attract young girls and high quality women. Yeah, okay, what high quality women? If you have to meet a girl when you're a millionaire, really in reality, that means that's a woman who's quite materialistic and values you for your money more than anything. So is that really the type of woman you want to be with? The ideal scenario is you meet a woman as you're nothing and you build up, and as you're building up and make something yourself, she was there from day one. That's the ideal. So take all this into consideration, because those guys peddling that notion that you can do all that, they're really just trying to get you to buy into their course or whatever, on how to be a high level man and all that. So think about that. These are the things that a lot of these guys on this side of the internet are not thinking about. So you need a foundation of always being okay, that you might not ever meet anyone, that you might be single forever, and you're okay with that notion. If you don't understand exactly what I'm saying here, go to my other video that says, it's titled The Best Relationship Advice You've Ever Heard. I go into depth on that. High standards for your woman, high standards. Never ever settle on a woman, no matter what your age, because it'll end up in disaster anyway. You'll end up unhappy, right? You might get married, you might have kids, it might last a while, but it will always end up in divorce and it will get messy and you won't be happy. It's better being on your own, being okay with your own and enjoying your own company and enjoying and making a good life for yourself that way. And when a good woman does come, what the age, go for it. Go for it. And remember, it's not the end. You can't be successful. You can't make a great life for yourself because you found a girl because you're 21, right? So that's what I'd say on that topic. I mean, if you really want me to say the ideal scenario, you're a millionaire by the age of 26. You're single until then. You enjoy yourself. You have a good time. You make something of yourself, and you're 26 and you try and settle down and you meet someone in and around your age. That would probably be the ideal situation. But how many guys are going to be able to do that? Yeah, and that's the other thing. As you get older, as you get older, as you're going to have to compete with those younger guys. And today's world, there are, and maybe contradict myself, it sounds like I'm contradicting myself, there are more and more 22-year-old millionaires now, entrepreneurs online and stuff. So you got to compete with those guys. And girls generally like guys in and around their age. So you have to compete with those guys. Yes, they're still going to be rare. Those guys are still going to be rare. Are you really going to be one of those guys? Probably not. But, you know, if that's what you want, then hopefully you got a chance. But yeah, that's all I got to say on that topic, guys. Take all this into consideration. Take these caveats, this nuance, think about it in the bigger picture. Think about it yourself, what you really, really want and what you think would be ideal. But yeah, let me know what you think, guys. If you like this, you've got value out of this, like, subscribe. If you're new here, get, comment and share it. And this will just help me get this message out to more and more men that need it. Thanks very much, guys.